Hi, and welcome to HUR at Home Music and More. I'm your host, Angela Stribling, and tonight it's the and more part because our special guest is an actor, a comedian. You've seen him, you love him. I mean, if you've watched Ballers like I do, if you've watched Raising Kanan like I do, and many other things, you are also a fan of our guest. Please welcome London Brown. Hi.
How are you? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I am such a fan. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we just want to get to know you. Let's just start off that way. We know your characters, but we want to know London. So, is that your born name? Is that your given name, London?
Yep, my name is London Brown, and fortunately, it works for me because I could have been a mechanic with the name, but being is
It's perfect.
it worked
It's
out.
a perfect name for what you do. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Especially, and you're born in Los Angeles?
Yep, South Central Los Angeles.
Okay. And so let's talk about this journey of yours because you're doing quite a lot and you're getting a lot of recognition, which is really great. You certainly deserve it. So when did you get the acting bug?
I think that's it's been there at least when I was a kid in church doing the Easter play, and I think that kind of started some of this. I was always comfortable with performing, but as
Mhm.
far as when uh really deciding to do it was around maybe I was like 16. I did a high school play called Rebel Without a Cause, and so I did that, and that's when it really I was able to feel the energy from the audience and really make a connection between, like, as a career choice. I was like, oh, this is that feeling. So that's when I made a conscious choice. I was about 16. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this stage thing. And
The energy from the audience loving you.
yeah, absolutely, it was reciprocated. So I mean, because live energy is it's a different kind of connection.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah, it is a different, it feeds you, especially when you're comfortable. I mean, they say for many people, just being on a stage is their number one fear.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
if it's the opposite, and if you're like, you know what, I am home,
Right.
it sounds like that's what it was for you.
That's what it was. It was just I mean, it just kind of clicked, and because even before officially doing theater, I was still, you know, a musician in the church and stuff. So I was always in front,
Okay.
on the stage, and so forth. So yeah, it worked out. It worked out. I'm glad it did. I'm very
Yeah,
grateful. Yeah,
I'm glad too. What a lot of people, I guess, are coming to find out is that you're also a comedian.
yeah.
When did that kick in professionally?
Say professionally, maybe around 2000. Well, it's kind of a story to that. I
Okay.
started out. I remember I did like uh, that whole thing. Kind of, I started dabbling with it in church, doing the talent shows. So it was always kind of there. I wasn't a class clown at all. I wasn't that guy, but my timing was always kind of there. So that kind of led me to kind of going throughout school, kind of just joking around a little bit. And then I remember in my senior yearbook, I would sign um, actor and comedian London Brown. So I was manifesting it then.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I actually did. I tried it when I was 18, professionally, and I
You
just
mean you went up on stage and
I
did
went
the
up on
comedy
stage.
thing?
What happened was I was working at a I used to sell the newspaper for the LA Times,
Okay.
and they had a talent show, and the manager was like, "Yo, you should tell some jokes." I said, "I don't really know about." They said, "Oh no, do the talent show." So I did a talent show. My manager at the job, he got me booked at a club. The first club I did it was like a squeaky clean comedy club in LA. Actually, it was like at a restaurant which is now Roscoe's. So back in the day, it was something
Oh,
else.
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Right in Inglewood. But at the time, back in the day, it was something else. So I do the show, and peep this. The first show that I did was with a guy named his name was called Cat in the Hat, whom is now Cat Williams.
Oh
So
my God.
right,
Oh, goodness gracious.
I got to think about that looking back. I was like, oh shoot, that's wild. But anyway, so I did it. Tried at 18. Went off to school, came back, was still doing some theater, and then I was a teacher at the time, and they was doing a fundraiser,
Okay.
and they was like, "Yo, why don't you do the talent show?" Or I asked about it or something. They just somehow the assistant principal, they signed me up, and that really is when I want to say I really took it seriously. Was
Okay.
around maybe 2008, 9,
Oh,
and that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go to open mics. I'm going to really do this.
yeah.
So it kind of started that way, and then that led me to getting on the road with Chris Tucker and touring.
Ooh, tell us about that. I mean, and you were opening for him?
Yeah, I was in a club one day, and this I knew God orchestrated this. I kept trying to leave, and because I'm not really the hangout guy, I just
Okay.
do my set and I go home. But this particular day, I kept trying to leave like 3 times, and the promoter that night was like, "Yo, London, you never hang around. You need to just stick around." He said, "Man, Chris Tucker here." I said, "Well, I met him already. I met him at another club a couple years ago.
Right.
I didn't want to be hound him. I just, I spoke to him already." And he said, "Man, you need to stick around. You need to stay." The host that night was D-Ray Davis out of Chicago. He says, "London, has Chris Tucker seen you do? Has he seen your act yet?" I was like, "Nah, I don't think he's seen." He said, "Man, you should let him see." I said, I don't want to interrupt his set. He's on stage." So D-Ray Davis grabs me by the arm. He says, "Yo, Chris, have you seen London?" And Chris was, looking around, and D-Ray pushes me onto stage. I get
Oh
up
my
there,
God.
I do my 5-minute shtick, and I did some Denzel impersonation, something, and Chris and I, we exchanged numbers, and we clicked really well. So I started touring with him.
Wow.
And that worked out. But that was God, because I was trying to leave, but God
Yeah.
didn't want me to leave. He told me he needed me to stay and have that experience. So that was good.
And
Good stuff.
fortunately, you had some jokes. You were prepared, because
Oh
you
yeah,
never know, right?
yeah,
Very
yeah.
too.
I was definitely, at that time, I had been doing stand up maybe like a year and a half. So
Okay.
I was on my grind. I was on my craft. But
Okay.
to what you're saying, fortunately, I was ready.
Yeah, because oftentimes these opportunities will present themselves when you're not even thinking about it. But if you're not ready, you get up there and you blow it and nothing becomes of it. But you had some stuff already because, like you said, you were already grinding. So
I
you
was
were like,
already,
okay,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. I started to move and live my life in anticipation.
mhm.
At this
So
point,
important.
it's critical. I think a lot of times people, they're waiting for
Mhm.
something, and my thing is, this is why faith is so important. This is why it's so impactful, because if we're just if we're going to decide that we want to move forward based on what the circumstances look like, that's going to just prolong the whole idea. But
Yeah.
it's something special about people who are able to say, in spite of what my condition is right now, I'm still going to move forward. I'm going to do something. I tell my friends to always do something that puts them closer to where they want to be. But it
Right.
has to be daily. It has to
Mhm.
be a lifestyle of what you do.
Yeah,
And things come around to you. And
I
it's
believe it.
yeah,
That's my life. And yeah, to act as if it's already the case, like you're already a comedian, you're already
yeah.
an actor, singer, or whatever the case might be. I love that you do impressions. Now I'm listening to you. I heard what you said. You said you got up there and you did a
I did
Denzel.
I think I did a Denzel bit. Can't remember what it is, but the whole thing was, I said, "Well, I got 5 minutes. I need to hit the stage strong, quick." Because honestly, it was
Hard.
a showcase for Chris Tucker. So whatever I did, I did my little thing, and I ended with this whole, listen, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. I call my guys, whatever it was something, some
Oh,
sort of
yes.
Denzel. He's always pointing. When he points, it's always he's scratching where he doesn't itch, but it doesn't, boom, it doesn't matter. So I did whatever the thing, I don't remember what. So I did the thing, and
Who
Denzel,
else? Who
uh,
else do you do?
one of my favorites. I don't do this everywhere. I'm looking for something I can use. One of my favorites is
Yeah, take your time. Find
is
whatever you need.
Paul Mooney. I
Oh
like
my
Paul
goodness.
Mooney. Let me see. Let me use honey box, because Paul's always holding his mic stand. He's always very serious. 'Cause that's a whole other story. I had a chance to work the role with him. So just being around him and talking to him and everything is the thing I like about Paul is race can be found in anything. I said, Paul, how do you think about, about whatever it is? Paul was like, you know, um, white people, they scare me. It's the truth. All of them. If it's white, then it's all right. What do they call the black whale? The killer whale. What do they call the shark? The great white shark. He's always so annoyed by everything.
Good. Oh my God, you transform into these people.
You know what? I owe that to theater. We learn to embody these characters and things like that. So I'm very grateful. I had some good coaches, growing up, man. So that's why for my particular style, stand up and acting, they work together. A lot of times people ask me which do I prefer more. Stand up is going to always probably be number one, but the way my style is, they fuse together really well. So
yeah. And you obviously have a really good ear too, to be able to just really sound like them, and you've got their mannerisms, everything. You've got it down.
Not to cut you off. It's almost like it's like being a vocalist, really, where you sometimes I can hear people I'm standing around, and I can tell before I even try before I attempt the voice, if their voice is in my register. So it worked. I'm okay. I don't have a bunch of them, but the ones I can do. So
yeah. You don't have to have a lot, as long as the ones you do that you're killing it. Yeah. So then let's talk about, some of the acting that you came on my radar with Ballers. And so how did is that the first big hit for you? What was the first big?
Yeah, I think that was the first major project. I did one before that called The Hustle, which was on the Fuse Network. We did one season, 6 episodes. It was a new project. And shout out to Prentice Penny. Prentice Penny was the creator of that show, but he's a showrunner for Insecure. Issa and them. So shout out to them. And what's cool about that particular project is I always try to share this, because for people coming up and trying to figure out how to navigate this acting thing, sometimes it can be a little discouraging. But the encouraging part about that project was I booked it because no one knew me, because the characters in the story were on their grind. So the story wouldn't have sold well if I was already an established actor trying to play as if I'm hustling on this show. So the fact that all of us were new faces, or unfamiliar faces rather, I was able to book that. That worked out. And then in the middle of that, I was still touring with Chris Tucker. Then I stopped touring with Chris Tucker. Now, mind you, I'm still working in after school program. I'm doing after school program, Boys and Girls Club. It's all, I'm still on this grind, even though I had a show.
Your own hustle.
Yes, exactly. I was on TV, but I still was trying to figure it out.
Good for you.
Everything I owned was in my mother's garage and in my trunk. And so I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But then, so during this, I wasn't on the road at this time. So I'm like in this interesting in between space. And then that's when I didn't even have an agent or manager. I got a call from a buddy of mine. Shout out to Chris Spencer. Chris called me and he said, "Yo, have you auditioned for Ballers yet?" I was like, "Nah." He's like, "Well, they looking for you." And he passed my information along, and I went to go audition for them. I was hoarse because I had been working and teaching, without any real rest. So I told him, I said, "Man, if you can't understand what I'm saying, let me come back and do the audition again." But it worked out. 2 months later, I ended up, I got a call. And the thing about that makes that particular project special is I felt like God wanted to remove everybody around me that potentially could get the credit for the work that he was doing. Meaning I wasn't on the road with Chris, so it wasn't like Chris took him, made a special call.
Right.
I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a manager, so I couldn't give them any credit for it. So And then also, that's one side of it. The other flip was the character was only supposed to do an episode or two. And God worked it out. I became a lead, one of
Yeah.
the leads on the show, did all 5 seasons of that. So
Bravo.
all these little things. And then also, I was the unfamiliar face. But what God did was he allowed all my scenes in season 1 to be across from Dwayne. So even if you didn't know who I was,
You,
you had to see
you
me.
already know.
So the fact that I became the conflict was a good jump start for me. And so I was very grateful for them and the guys over at HBO and from that show for just taking a chance. They were the people in the room were fighting for me. The network was trying to go for a bigger name, but it worked out. And also the character's supposed to be fat. Ain't nothing about
I know you don't look fat to me.
So all these little things just kind of lined up.
Yeah.
And also I was taking free improv classes, going back to the thought we had before, which was about being prepared and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I was just moving in that space. So when that opportunity came, I was more than ready.
And I love that you know where your blessings come and you're walking in it. You
I always
are.
forget, man, because sometimes, man, people become very self-aggrandizing and they start to think that it's them. I like to liken this to it's like who flosses in a rental car, right? It's not yours. These gifts aren't mine.
That's right.
So I don't.
Oh, that's so well said.
It's not about me. I'm just so grateful that God was beneficent enough to even say, because he could have given me anything. So I'm glad that he gave me the arts. And I'm like, I try to, make sure that I show my respect.
It's beautiful.
To the giver by exhausting all the possibilities within my abilities.
Yeah, you're doing your part and acknowledging, that's the biggest name of all. Our creator.
Look, man,
the biggest name of all of them.
The thing about it, I realized this, because sometimes my friends say, you just make you so humble and all this stuff. And I'm like, on a very practical level, not even super deep, just on a very practical level, I'd much rather keep myself humble than he do it, because he got away with humbling.
Hello, we've all seen it.
If you keep your feet on the ground, when you fall, because we all will, it won't be very far. So I function that way to keep level headed. But anyway,
love that whole perspective. That's beautiful. I mean, and more blessings. They're going to continue to come. So let's talk about the next thing. Let's talk about raising Kanan. How did that whole thing come about?
Okay, so I just finished Ballers. Me and my reps, we just split, right? And it was kind of interesting because it was kind of like after Ballers ended, they were kind of like, hey, we're probably too big of an agency for you. So I said, okay, I got it. No problem. My manager, shout out to Shauna. She was very cool. She said, London, don't worry about it. I'm sticking with you. We're going to find you an agent. Meanwhile, I go off to Atlanta to go film American Dream. Shout out to Robbie Reed. Robbie Reed, casting director over there. And she called me. She said, hey, I think you'd be good to play Boosie Collins. I was like, Boosie Collins?
Woo!
And I said, all right, cool. I go learn the guitar stuff and go play Boosie Collins for that show. And then I go off to go shoot some project in Canada somewhere. After I returned, I had a chance to meet with this agent. My manager said, yo, this guy is a young agent. He's excited. He knows about your work. You should take a meeting with him. I take the meeting, 10 minutes, and felt like there was a click.
Nice.
He said, hey, I got this project. You should go audition for it. And at the time, we got to keep in mind, Power was they were on their season finale. They was at the end. Okay. So when I got the sides for those who may see this, who might not know, sides are basically pieces of the script, scenes of the script. So I got the sides and it said Power on there. I'm like, I thought it was ended.
It's over.
But sometimes what they do is they'll put a mock title so that the real material don't get leaked. So I said, maybe they want to see me do something Power-esque.
Right. There you go. So working title.
then we go on to Christmas break. After Christmas break, I go back to meet with this agent because I haven't signed with him yet. I'm just meeting him. I meet with him again. He's walking me through the office, introducing me to people. And then in the middle of meeting the other agents, one of them said, "Oh yeah, London, by the way, you got a call back for that power show." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I get a call back. That means I'm a little closer.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So anyway, I do whatever 7 auditions, and they told me I landed, and I still didn't even know I was on Power or even a part of that until maybe after the first episode. I was still confused because it went from Power, then it was called Raising Kanan, and I had never watched Power before. The reason I never
hooked on it,
right? I didn't watch it because I wanted to be on the show so badly, but at the time I was shooting Ballers. Okay. And I was like, man, I want to be on that show because I knew that the people that look like me really enjoyed. I used to always hear about Ballers, Power, and Game of Thrones. So I said, man, that's a good show. I keep hearing about it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I didn't know I was on the show until after the fact. I said, oh, I'm part of this Power universe. But all of that to say that was still
incredible.
That was God's doing.
Yeah, I love your journey. I mean,
it's been something. It's
really something. So okay. So putting all of these things together, and you said people have asked, what do you like the most? And I'm sure it's hard because they all kind of are intertwined.
Yeah.
And as you're refining your skills, do you see something different down the line? Is there something else that we should know about to kind of look out for, or are you just kind of taking it as it comes?
I mean, for me, it's stand-up is always there. So it means, comedy specials, that sort of thing. But outside of I want to say outside of those artistic things, because most things I do is connected to art, but I am working on this book of photography for homeless people,
Wow.
I do I used to work, because I used to work in an after-school program, I remember the kids, sometimes they get the snacks, and if the snacks weren't cool, they throw them away. So what I started to do was to take the food, the leftover stuff, and I would go feed the homeless in downtown.
Oh my goodness, London.
So, as I was doing, I had a chance to really connect with these homeless people or destitute people. And so after talking and connecting with them, I realized more so that people are people. At the end of it, not everybody down there isn't on drugs and isn't.
That's right.
There's sometimes people just went through a divorce, they went through depression, they're Vietnam vets. So my heart has always been with people. I get that. I'm sure I get some of this from my mom. She used to she would let people stay with us. And I just always been around street people. I used to cut hair at a rehab center growing up.
Wow, that's awesome.
So all I know is how to connect with street people or people in general. So anyhow, after feeding the homeless, stuff like that, I just felt like I want to create this book and share some of their stories, and then have some proceeds go back to feeding them and whatever that kind of thing is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been photographing homeless people. You've been doing it yourself.
Yeah, I go out and usually I feed them on some sort of level. Then we have a conversation. Then I ask them about, if I could take a photo, and we talk and that sort of thing. And so there's always that. And I do a lot of stuff as well with, as far as helping children. And now young people, like I'm a part of this program, which is the Black College Expo. I'm part of that experience of them. Shout out to Teresa and all of them. So what we do is we help kids get into college. We just came back from DC.
Nice. You were here. Okay.
Yeah, gave out some scholarships and that sort of thing. So I'm always just trying to find ways to help people,
That's beautiful. And God sees it, and you will always be rewarded. That's a heart. That's your heart. That's such a beautiful thing. It's such a pleasure to get to know you a little bit. I feel like, I love that you've shared so much about your professional life, and you've given us a peek into just how you process. And Yeah, continued success to you. God bless you, and congratulations on your awards. Was it the first ever Robin Harris Award?
Yeah, I got that for stand up, and I got some best actors stuff at some film festivals. I got a couple. You know,
Acknowledgement.
anytime people want to even just, if they care to just acknowledge, or even when people come up to me on the street want to take pictures, it's just cool that people just can appreciate the work.
Yes,
You know, so the least I can do is, say thank you, and try to keep myself grounded. That's what I try to give, because if we want to keep our heart in check, we gotta give. So
that's
if I
right.
can, my time or photo or interview or something, then I'll try to do that.
Well, you know what? We appreciate you taking the time and sharing, and you're an inspiration to me and to everybody who's watching and whoever pays attention to what you have to say. So thank you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
that. And, for people who want to connect with you on social media, how do we do that?
Yes, I'm at Real London Brown, at Real London Brown. Also, you can look up the hashtag London's White Tea Talks. Really quickly, what that is
What is
basically,
that?
London's White Tea Talks. When they go to my page, I'm just giving a bunch of breakdowns on the dynamics of people, and lots of other things. But basically what it is just me just helping people to understand how to connect dots on different subject matters of whatever it is. For example, here's a small quick one. I was on the street one day. This guy says, he was asking me about cheating, who cheats more, and what have you. My thought was this: if I were to ask a woman, I say, well, who do you think is more likely not to get caught cheating? A good 90% of women, if not all, are going to say, well, of course, women are more likely not to get caught cheating. You say, why? She'll say, because we're smarter, we're just more intelligent. We don't we understand we keep our lives, we got our stuff, and we're organized. We're smart about how we cheat. My angle to that is this: the reason that women don't get caught cheating is because the guy she's dealing with knows how to stay in his lane emotionally. Because it wouldn't matter how good that lie was, wouldn't matter how clever that woman organized her situation. If that guy got out of his space emotionally and started calling and showing up and doing some of the things some women do,
Right.
it all hit the fan. But anyway, I do plenty talks like that.
Oh, I love. Now, listen, my radio show is called Pillow Talk with Angela.
Come on, somebody.
So we talk all. We're going to have you on that show.
Yeah, for sure.
You just said a word right there. We can go on and on about that one.
Yes, that's why I said let me not be too verbose about it. I'm out of here. But yes, we gotta touch down again.
That's fantastic. I love it. Yeah, we're going to have you back on that show whenever you have the time to do it. But we so appreciate you tonight. We're going to follow you. In fact, I just followed you on Instagram.
Okay, I'll find you.
Pillow Talk with Angela. And London Brown, continued success to you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, that was so amazing. Thank you all for joining us here on Pillow Talk with Angela. That was a great conversation. I'm so happy to have met him, right? So keep on watching us every Thursday night. We bring you the very best artists, musicians, and, as we say, music and more. And thank you for keeping us your number one music station in the DMV. That's 96.3 WHUR. Follow me at Angela Stribling or at Pillow Talk with Angela. And of course, follow at WHUR-FM. Have a good night.